welcome back to Book Break. I am feeling very cozy and autumnal today because in this video I'm going to talk about my favourite cozy autumn books. I think the autumn is just the best season for reading all of those lovely long dark evenings to snuggle up with a book. So we're feeling pretty chilly, so let's go inside, snuggle up on my sofa and talk about my favourite cozy autumn reads. You really want to get down, don't you? Okay. So I'm snuggled up on my sofa now, feeling very cozy, got an appropriately bookish cup of tea here. Let's get on with my favourite cozy autumn books. So first up I've got this gorgeous little classic, What Katie Did by Susan Coolidge, and this was one of my favourite books growing up, so it's still one that I go back to a lot. So this is about a 12-year-old tomboy called Katie Carr growing up in this huge family with 6 children, and they all have wonderful names like Dory and Clover, and the first half of the book is just about her adventures, and she's always getting into mischief and it's great fun. Until halfway through the book, she has a very serious accident and is left in a wheelchair. And then the second half of the book is all about her adjusting to her new life and finding a new way to be happy. So it's really very cozy. And then another Macmillan Collector's Library book that's perfect for autumn is Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. I mean, can you get more autumnal than that cover? And one of the poems in this collection is Oh Captain, My Captain, which always makes me think of that amazing last scene in Dead Poets Society where they all stand on their chairs and say Oh Captain, My Captain, and that's one of my favourite autumnal movies. So really just perfect for this season. And I also do think that autumn is just a great time for reading poetry, like all those cozy long evenings are just perfect for it. So these are 2 lovely little classics that definitely should be on your autumn TBR. Now I can't get through a cozy autumn reading video without talking about Harry Potter, which is maybe the ultimate cozy autumn book. This is just the perfect time of year to maybe start a full reread of the whole series, or just curl up with book 1 and just make this time of year feel so magical. It's enough to make you actually miss the time when autumn meant going back to school, if only we were actually going back to Hogwarts. Now you literally cannot get more autumnal than the next book I'm going to show you. This is Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. It's a graphic novel about 2 best friends who work in the pumpkin patch every autumn, and then they don't speak the rest of the year round. But this year it's their last year before going to college, so they decide to turn their final shift at the pumpkin patch into an adventure, and it is just charming. And every page just looks like autumn. They're wearing these amazing dungarees and checked shirt outfits. There are pumpkins on every page. All these descriptions of gorgeous autumnal food like popcorn and pumpkin pie and toffee apples. It'll make you feel so warm inside. Now a non-fiction that I read this year that I also think is really cozy is The Adventures of Maud West, Lady Detective by Susanna Stapleton. So this reads like an Agatha Christie novel, so it's got that real like cozy crime feeling. But it's also this incredible true story of Maud West, who was a detective in the 1900s, one of London's leading and only female detectives. So this book is basically following Susanna Stapleton as she uncovers the story of who Maud West really was. So you've got like cliffhangers at the end of each chapter, and also these hilarious stories peppered throughout about some of the adventures Maud West got up to, some of which are just too bizarre to be true. And Maud West was kind of a master of disguise, so you get these pictures throughout showing off some of the amazing disguises that she wore. I mean, you can see them on the cover here, and I actually did a video with Susanna Stapleton where we dressed me up using some of her disguise tricks, so I will link that below. You should go check it out. It was a lot of fun. Now a genre that just screams cozy autumn reading is the historical mystery, and I've got a great one here. This is The Inheritance of Solomon Farthing by Mary Paulson Ellis. So this begins with a soldier dying alone in an Edinburgh nursing home with no known relatives or belongings until they find £50,000 sewn into the lining of his coat. So this is where Solomon Farthing, the heir hunter, comes in, and it's his job to track down who should be the rightful owner of this fortune. So we get these parallel timelines of present day and then also Solomon Farthing digging back into the soldier's family tree, which brings us all the way back to 1918, where we discover a mystery surrounding 11 soldiers abandoned in a farmhouse billet in France. So it's this perfect mixture of really cozy but with a hint of darkness, and ultimately a really powerful moving story. Now this is a really little one to just read in one sitting on a cozy autumn afternoon, The Last Hedgehog by Pam Ayres. So this is a really cute but really sad poem told from the perspective of the last hedgehog on Earth, and he goes through all of the different ways that his relatives died and how they were all humans' fault. And it's got these gorgeous illustrations throughout by Alice Tate, which again are just so autumnal. I absolutely love these. But it's not all doom and gloom. Pam Ayres wrote this for National Hedgehog Awareness Week, so at the end it's got all these tips for how we can help save the hedgehogs in our own gardens. But I just love it. I mean, look at this adorable hedgehog. This has got to be an autumn favourite. Now, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, I've seen so many people talk about this one recently and it really is that good. So this is about a young girl called Kaya who as a very young girl is abandoned by her family and left to fend for herself, living in this little house in the marshland of North Carolina. And she's completely rejected by her community. They call her the marsh girl. She never goes to school, she never learns to read and write, but she's an expert on understanding the ways of nature and the marshland. So we learn her story as she grows up, that's one timeline. We also keep flashing forward to 1969 when a young local man named Chase Andrews has been killed, and the marsh girl is a key suspect. So as these timelines get closer and closer to intersecting, we discover how Chase Andrews does enter her life and what we think might have happened. And it's just this amazing book. It's a really powerful story about prejudice and community. It's a murder mystery, so that makes it a real page turner. And it's just got these amazingly gorgeous descriptions of the nature, which you can just get lost in for hours. And finally, one more mystery, because they really are just the best autumnal reads, The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. So this is about a reclusive, very famous author named Vida Winter, who has never told her life story to the press until now, when she has chosen a biographer named Margaret, and she invites her to her house to hear her life story, which begins with these two wild and mysterious twins named Adeline and Emmeline, and ends with the fire that destroyed their lives. And it's just such a great mystery, and it's got so many brilliant twists that fall into place at just exactly the right time, keeps you guessing the whole way through, and it's just the right level of spooky to read on a dark night. This is another one that's been really popular on BookTube, so keep an eye out, you never know, there might be some read-alongs going on this autumn. So leave an autumn leaf emoji below if autumn is your favourite time for reading as well, and definitely do let me know any cozy autumnal recommendations that you have, because I'm always looking for more. And coming up next week we've got our Halloween special, so 13th Tale's kind of a spooky gothic literature. I've got plenty more recommendations like that coming up in next week's video. So while I curl up and finish my tea, do give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below for new videos every week, and go over and follow us on Instagram for all of our fun behind the scenes sneak peeks at BookBreak UK. See you next time.